Again, thank you guys for joining this webinar. I'm here with Gary Wood with HomeWrights. And as you guys know, Colorado Earth has been supporting a lot of projects in the Sagamore community of Town of Superior. And I think this invite has kind of been extended to all people interested in building with Colorado Earth. And I wanted to take this opportunity to share with everyone the Owner Builder Program as a unique opportunity to work with a general contracting firm. We are all concerned with costs now, and this could be a really appealing cost savings to owners that are looking to build. And I know I've gotten the question that I was working with another contractor on this project and in this pursuit, and HomeWrights again has kind of a different option that I wanted to present to everybody. HomeWrights also does have a turnkey option if the Owner Builder Program did not seem to suit. So again, this is something just to take into consideration. I wanted to be open and present some different options to you as you make considerations for who to work with. Either way, I will be involved with you through to the end and kind of seeing this project success as you kind of have your first meal in there. So I want to turn it over to Gary, who's going to walk through the Owner Builder Program. And then, of course, we can have some Q&A at the end. So, and I'll just first introduce how I've come to know HomeWrights. I had a project that's just in completion phase right now in Parker, Colorado. And that owner started building in, early 2022. So winter of 22. And of course, there were rising costs, and this was an appealing option to them. And so that's how I've become introduced with HomeWrights. And that was a compressed earth block house in Parker. And I've just been impressed with their ability to really support clients in the building process. So it may or it doesn't appeal to everybody. So again, just learn that this is something to consider. So Gary, with that, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Gary Wood. I'm with HomeWrights. I'm a custom builder. I've been building in Boulder County for about 29 years. And I would tell you a little bit about HomeWrights. It was started in 2002 by Bob Hines and Mary Knowles. And to date, we've built almost 400 custom homes with the owner builder approach. That amounts to over $300 million in homes. Prices range from anywhere from $500,000 to almost $5 million. We have 10 project managers on staff. I'm one of them. I have been with HomeWrights. It'll be 4 years in October. I'm the lead contact and the manager up here in Boulder County. This tells you a little bit more about me. I've won numerous industry awards. I am committed to the latest building science and best practices. And it's been very successful these 4 years with HomeWrights. Basically, what we do, we help you to build your own home from start to finish. Whether you have plans or don't have plans, whether you have engineering or don't have engineering, we can help you with that. We start by putting together a preliminary budget, finding out how much you want to spend before we get started, so we don't go down a path of you trying to build something that you may not be able to afford. This approach that we have will save you a lot of heartache and a lot of cash. We'll be working in this instance with Lisa, your designer, to plan a home to fit your budget. We can help you with the jurisdictions and getting the permit. We can help you with the banks. We have a list of banks that are familiar with our owner builder program, and they really like it. We can help you with the utility companies, soils testing, just about everything, all the paperwork that's necessary. We'll see you through the permitting process entirely, and We be in constant contact with you, including site visits for inspections and other things. We'll help you establish a realistic timetable, and we will prepare a schedule for you, and it's in the form of either a calendar or a Gantt chart, and you can toggle back and forth between the two. It's hosted online by a company called Boulder. Like I said, I will build that schedule for you and then turn it over to you, and it can be modified as you see fit and as things happen. We'll also help you we have a subcontractor database, and these are vetted subcontractors. We'll help you write the contracts. And this is probably one of our most powerful tools, because to many of these subcontractors, we account for just about all of their business. So you just won't be a one time and gone. They'll be treating you like a repeating customer. If you have a brother-in-law or whatever, or a friend that does some contracting work and you do want to hire him, that's okay with us. You don't have to use the people that we have in the toolbox, although we encourage you to use the toolbox as much as you possibly can. We'll take a look at your bids that you're getting from some contractors. We'll help you analyze them. We'll also provide the contracts. We'll help you write the contracts. And as it says on the screen, this is where the savings really grow, because there's no middleman. We don't take any money from our subcontractors or our material suppliers. So you're in control. We'll meet with you weekly and as needed. And in the initial stages of construction, we'll be in contact with you frequently, both in person, on the phone, text message, email, whatever. You're going to save a lot of money because you'll be taking the role on as general contractor. You can use that money as you see fit. We had an example today that was just forwarded to me, and let me read this to you. This is about a woman who recently participated in our owner builder program. We recently worked with a client who did a pop top with the owner builder program. What a pop top is, simply put, is adding a second floor to a single story home. The client started in the middle of the pandemic, and of course, materials costs were going up and down, but mostly up. That's why she wanted the owner builder program, so that she could control cost and labor to some extent. She wanted a second floor and more bedrooms for a growing family. She actually decided to keep her existing kitchen to help save money. What happened was very interesting. She had her budget nailed down, and her framing cost estimate came in at $80,000. This was acceptable to her. The project started, and in just a couple of months into it, lumber prices went down, and so did the cost of her framing. It dropped down to around $50,000. So here's the point. If she had been working with a traditional general contractor and the lumber prices went down after all the contracts were signed and the project was started, she would have never known that the lumber prices went down. The contractor had no obligation to go back to her and say, look at the money I'm saving you. Lumber prices went down. Nope. He's going to pocket those savings and nobody would know the difference. But since she was on the owner builder program, she gets to see every invoice and every bit of material. So when lumber prices went down, she saved that money. In fact, she saved just enough to build that dream kitchen that she didn't think she could afford. Now she has plenty of bedrooms, second story, perfect kitchen. She's a very happy owner builder. And you can see her video on the YouTube channel. Okay,
yeah, that's a great story. And I think it's just relevant to share in kind of these times in which we don't know what the market's doing, and the fluctuation is real, and hopefully we'll be seeing these prices come down. I think we also have Bob with HomeWrights. Is that right, Bob? Are you with us? Hey, Bob, as Gary mentioned, is the owner. We've had a chance to meet as well, and I just wanted to share too that I will be also part of this process supporting you with Gary, and as you know, as a team, and I will kind of be there overseeing all the masonry and making sure things are designed or built as they were designed. So, Gary, I wanted to give you a chance to say hello and maybe share a little bit about how the owner builder program came to be, some success stories. I think you shared it well with me. If you were good at planning your wedding, or that was fun for you, then you'd be kind of a superstar at this, right? Is how it was shared. And maybe just a little bit about how you see it best working for folks, and especially in this unique opportunity of Sagamore, where we have clients all in the same location that are, working together on similar timelines. So, yeah, Gary, I'll just pass it to you for a moment. If that's okay.
Gary or Bob?
Sorry?
You said Gary.
Oh, I meant Bob.
Gary or Bob?
Pass it to Bob. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for letting us participate in this. Lisa, I mean, I think it's an impressive opportunity there, or an impressive situation that you put together here, and hopefully there are a lot of people in Sagamore who can build in this way, using your blocks and creating a home that's an awful lot more fire resistant than the ones that they may have lost. So to just kind of respond to what you asked about, my wife and I started this in 2002. I grew up in a builder family, and I swore that I would never be a home builder as long as I lived. And then it just turns out that the apple falls close to the tree. So I kind of got sucked into it, but my wife and I took a different approach, because we knew that there were people out there who were willing to and able to manage their own home construction project. So we designed our entire company to cater to that crowd. And it was my wife that came up with that expression early on that if you can plan a wedding, you can do this, because very similar to a wedding planner, we're there kind of in your back pocket the entire time, helping you find the best resources, helping you to establish a realistic budget, helping you to plan every single step of it, putting together a calendar for you to follow, and then helping you as needed, helping you with managing that checkbook and getting the bills paid. So her analogy was very apt, and we use that from time to time still, just because I think it draws a very clear picture. I think the way we want all of our clients to think of us is we become your building partner. If you choose to be an owner builder, you are in charge of the project. You're the one that's managing it on a day-to-day basis. But as Gary said earlier, we're just right there with you every step of the way, and we have the resources, and we have the strength and the leverage with those resources to make things come out well. So I'm not sure what else, Julie, I'm not sure, or Lisa, I'm sorry, what else would you like to, what other kind of background would you like?
Well, I'll go ahead and ask the burning question here of, what I asked to you, what can be anticipated savings, and kind of an overview of cost, and then I think of next steps, should folks be interested to engage. So, either Gary or Bob addressing the cost, and the next steps and the cost.
Gary, you mind if I take a stab at that?
Go ahead.
Thanks. So I think the way we want our clients to think of it is this: if you hire a traditional general contractor who manages the project on a turnkey basis, in other words, they manage every aspect of the project. Nowadays, what we're finding in this market is a lot of those traditional general contractors are looking for a 20% fee. Now, you might see that fee in a number of different ways. In other words, there may be some people who will say to you, no, our fees are 12% on top of your construction costs. However, if you look closely at their contracts or at their estimates, you'll see that they often have a line item in their estimate for overhead and administration, then another line item in their estimate for job site supervision. So when you add up all of those things, their fee plus overhead and administration plus job site supervision, you're coming close to 20%. And in fact, if there are some people who come to know us and they say, you know what, I really like you guys, but I have no interest whatsoever in managing my own home construction project. So I'd like you guys to take over for me. And if that's the case, we can do that. We call that our turnkey model, and our fee for our turnkey model is 20%. So I think we're right in the middle of the market for turnkey. But for an owner builder approach, our fees hover around 5.5%, 6.5% of projects' hard costs. So that can easily be a savings of 15%. And, depending on the overall cost of your project, that can be 75, 100, 150, 250,000. And I know that we've had some projects building what I would call a legacy home. Some clients who built what I would call a legacy home that's a $3 or $3.5 or $4 million home. So obviously those folks have saved $250,000, maybe $300,000 by managing the project themselves. Now the caveat there is this is hard work. We want people to know that going in. It's sometimes an eye opener for folks how hard this work is. We've done everything we can to make it as easy as possible and to make it to make it make sense, and to make sure that our clients don't feel like they're lost. But it's hard work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's really helpful, and obviously that cost savings. What can you tell folks about the time involved that they would need to dedicate to this, given they are probably managing jobs, full-time jobs, careers, children, and whatnot. So, and does that time fluctuate throughout the project? When would be the busiest? When does it taper off?
I like to tell people that you need to think of this as a part-time job, and it's kind of like half time. I mean, if your regular job is a 40 or 45 hour per week job, doing this job is going to take you 15, 20, 25 hours a week. Now, a lot of that is administrative time. Your homework some night may be to sit down and compare 3 plumbing bids and 3 electrical bids and 3 heating bids and 3 mason bids, 3 bids for brick masons, et cetera. And so that can be time consuming work. And sometimes some weeks are going to be much tougher than others. Some weeks are going to be 15 to 20 hours, and some weeks are going to be 5 hours. One of the things that we've noticed about all of our clients, and this just goes back to every client I've ever interacted with, and there's no polite way for me to say it, is most of our clients are a little bit OCD, obsessive compulsive. So they'll be on the job site, perhaps even when they don't need to be on the job site, just because they want to see things happening, or they may be on the job site on a weekend or something with the shop vac, cleaning things up or sweeping or something like that. So there's a little bit of that labor of love thing that happens with most of our projects.
And Bob, I'd like to say, as far as them comparing bids, we will be reviewing their review of the bids.
Oh, good point. Thanks.
Yeah, that's helpful. And then should they want to go on vacation and they maybe take a break from this part-time job, are they allowed to do so? And what happens there?
Yeah, we've got you covered. We've had that situation where clients have taken a vacation, or we had one client that had to go to China because they were adopting some children, and they had to go to China for a month to be part of that adoption process. And so they were gone for a month, and nothing even missed a beat. So we
Okay,
got you covered.
great. Feel free, the folks here, to put messages in the or questions in the chat, and I can put them forward, or come off mute and share them yourselves. We can kind of keep this remaining time for some open Q&A. I think that I wanted to kind of also just get into what would be next steps. A lot of these folks are, in design process. We are acquiring soils reports right now. We're going to be moving into geotech, engineering rather. And when would you start engaging and kind of setting up these budgets, and what would be the engagement process? Any deposits, down payments, anything required on your end?
Gary, you
Can
want
I
to
answer that, Bob?
Go ahead, Gary.
What we would do, we would enter into contract with them, have a signed contract, and we would take a $5,000 deposit, and to help them do all this preliminary work. It would be, getting bids, going through the permit process with the jurisdiction, what have you, contacting the energy people and for utilities, what have you. And then the rest of the fee we would not start collecting any of the rest of the fee until we started the excavation. So we started construction, okay? And then our fee is spread out between 10 to 12 monthly payments.
Okay.
And a next step, if anyone is interested, a next step would be simply, if you can get us a copy of your preliminary plan set, we can put together a cost forecast, and that's a complimentary service.
Yeah.
And it is a line item cost forecast. It's 180 line items or 200 line items. I can't remember exactly, but it's a detailed cost forecast. Now, our cost forecast is, it is not a hard bid budget. It is a cost forecast, and it's going to be based on the history of previous projects that we've done. So, for example, if we do, right now we are averaging about 35 projects per year. And so we are constantly updating our database so that we know accurate pricing on foundations and excavation and plumbing work and plumbing fixtures and appliances and so on. So we put together a cost forecast for you, and that's based on, like I say, our work history. And we're happy to update that forecast on a frequent basis as your plans become more and more mature. But that's a first step, and that's a step that doesn't cost you anything. Just get us a copy of your plans, and we'll execute that cost forecast and share that with you. And even if you decide that even if you choose that you're not going to work with HomeWrights, then you'll still have that cost forecast, which you'll be able to use as sort of a barometer of what your project should cost.
Yeah, and that's great. And we've already shared the one plan set with you, and that's being developed right now as we speak. So we do have a question in the chat. Toby, I'm going to kind of just present it here. What is the number, or is there a number of target number of homes to be built in Sagamore with HomeWrights? Do you have an estimate of how many simultaneous builds you can handle in Sagamore? And I appreciate that Ken, it's all caps. Toby, as Colorado Earth, I'm working currently with five residents of Sagamore, and speaking with 5 others that I know of that are considering. building with blocks. Again, this my involvement at least is with the eco block construction, the wall system, with the masonry walls. Should you want to go down a different wall system path, you can certainly choose to work with HomeWrights on a different wall system. I just wouldn't be involved in that process. So, we are targeting. My initial target was 5 to 10 homes, and as something that we could kind of get our arms around to deliver within the time frame, which was the end of 2023, so that people can kind of get out of their subsidized rentals and kind of work on that timeline. I don't see anything stopping us from that schedule, but the question be on mic, please. Yeah, I will let you. Yeah, I'll give the mic to you, Alex. So as a question in terms of the subs, HomeWrights having the depth and breadth they do to the subcontractors, HomeWrights, please verify that you don't see an issue being able to simultaneously build 5 or 10, potentially more homes at once in Sagamore.
Do about 35 homes a year, but actually right now we have about 70 projects going on across the Denver metro area. And so I don't think it's going to be an issue with whatever number you come up with.
Yeah, I have that same level of confidence. I know that we have let's say it this way, we have a pretty deep bench.
Yep.
As far as trade contractors and suppliers go. So I'm confident that we can handle foundation work and framing work to whatever extent there is framing work, and truss supply and window supply and plumbing and electrical. I don't have any concerns about that.
Okay. Toby, hopefully that answered your question. Alex, I'll let you come off mute and ask your question.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, this is Alex here. I have a question. It's like for us, it's the first time doing this, and it's well appreciated all the experience. The issue we mostly seen here that like forecasts or budgets are like all over the place, and in different areas. So just wanted to see like how comprehensive we can get to the budget. Because like issues are that if you look at the drawings, then you look at the foundation, of course, there are always options, but then there are always add-ons like permitting fees, storing dirt when you do the excavation, either way, drive it off or bring it in or store it with a neighbor. So again, like I think the group has the biggest issues with no accurate forecasts. So my question just would be how close we can get there, and how all these extra line items that also like influences the budget. Again, like one example with the dirt, where we're putting it, is the Sagamore, are they having a place where we can put it? Do we have to haul it off and on? Do you have what's your experience, or is this like a line item you put on like 10%, or how close can we get? It's basically my question with all these line items and different variations of different building styles.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Alex, is that correct?
Yep.
Thank you, Alex. That's a really good question. So our budgeting process is very comprehensive, and what I mean by that is we've done this so many times that we are really, I think, very, very thorough in terms of every single line item being considered. And in fact, one of the stock line items in every budget that we do is soil import and soil export, because that happens all the time, especially when we're working on properties in Denver or in Boulder, where an old house is being demolished and a new house is being built. So we're accustomed to seeing that, and we would put a line item, and if we were preparing a budget for you, Alex, we put a line item in there for soil export, soil import. we don't mind doing a little homework to find out if Superior or Sagamore or any of the communities up there are going to provide some kind of a place to stockpile soil. And of course, if they are, then we can factor that into it. But I know your question is broader than just soil import and soil export. So let's just say, Alex, that we were preparing a budget for you, and based on the information we had in hand, we estimate, we put a line item in our budget that you're going to spend $14,000 on appliances. But then after we have a conversation with you, we determine that your needs for appliances are much more modest, or perhaps they're much more extravagant. Let's say that you want to have appliances manufactured by Viking or Wolf. In that case, we make those adjustments. I think I mentioned earlier that we're happy to do several iterations of that budget until we're pretty confident that it is a reflection of your taste. So I think we can do a really good job of giving you a preliminary budget and then perhaps doing a couple of edits to that budget to get you to a point where you're comfortable that that's an accurate reflection of what you're going to spend. However, this is the statement that I make to all potential HomeWrights clients. Once we have presented you with what we consider to be a finished budget, by the way, any builder you talk to should tell you this exact same thing. Once we've presented you with what we consider to be a finished budget, you should look at that budget. You should say to yourself, I will probably spend 10% more than this number. And that is simply a reality of our industry. There are some unpredictable things, that even with the level of experience that we've got, there are still unpredictable things that come up and bite us from time to time. And they're rarely big ticket items, but you should anticipate 10% over the budget that you've presented to your bank. And chances are pretty good that your bank is going to encourage you to add a contingency to your budget, and that's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 10%.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Just one more comment. I mean, we're individual home builders, but there's also the Sagamore community. So when we look into like stockpiling dirt, when we look into geotech reports, we see that we can bring down the prices if we also act as a group here. With surveying, with like, again, geotech reports, because other companies are already in the area and they also team up depending who the builder is. But if we like work with you, we also know some tricks and again can talk to the town as well. So on top of being individual home builders with like looking at different appliances or whatever, we should also look at line items where we can team up 5-10 houses and also have like significant like budget impact.
Yeah, that's great, Alex. And that's something that I'm excited about too for Sagamore, and that Gary and I and Bob overseeing is going to be looking at these budgets, and line items cumulatively and kind of seeing where those cost savings can be. And if this is and Matteo, I want to come back to your question too, but Sarah's questions about HomeWrights' ability to work with suppliers that give wholesale prices. And so, your ability to have those discounts provided for, larger stock items purchased together.
So we've got longstanding relationships with suppliers for everything that could possibly go into your home. Lumber, trusses, windows, doors, cabinetry, flooring, appliances, tile or any other hard surfaces, carpet, just about anything that you can possibly imagine. We've got those relationships, and we can offer our clients builder level prices I wouldn't say they're wholesale prices, but they are builder level prices. So I'm positive that all of our clients enjoy that kind of pricing, that kind of favorable pricing for anything that goes into their home. And from time to time, we've had clients who've said, well, I found some spectacular floor tile, and the vendor for this floor tile is, a new company, and evidently you don't have an account with that company. We have the credentials that we can go to just about any company you can imagine and establish a builder account, which then our clients can take advantage of that. So I think that answers Sarah's question. I'm not positive, but I think it does.
Yeah.
Then with respect to the question from Mateo and Mel, if I understand the question correctly, I think what you're asking is the fee for HomeWrights service, is that something that's fixed at the beginning, or does it vary? And the answer is it is fixed at the beginning. You will know on the day you sign a contract with us what our fee is, and it doesn't matter if if your project takes additional hours, then so be it. It just works out that way. Over the years, what we've learned is the average works out very well for both us and our clients. So the fixed price. That's
great. Yeah, I think that's really helpful to know that the kind of the support is there as needed and throughout the project, and not kind of accruing hourly or anything variable in that sense. Is there any other questions?
I have a couple of questions. Do you have any document outlining the shared responsibility model? Who is in charge of what when it comes to what we will have to do as owners, what you can help us as in supporting us using this owner builder program?
It's outlined in our contract.
Yeah, and we're happy to share that. And we're happy to share a copy of our contract with anybody who is interested in looking at it. We can either do that by sending it to Lisa and then she can disperse it, or if you'd like, Lisa, you want to send emails to us, we can send directly to the folks who request it.
Okay.
At a high level, I just want to make sure I understand how this model works. So I understand that you will be providing support in finding contractors for different services or products, and we will be in charge of deciding who to use, feels like, when it comes to using vendor A versus vendor B for the flooring, for example.
Correct.
And you will be providing oversight, I heard, on the inspections or making sure that the contractors are doing what they're supposed to do. Is that part of what you will be doing?
That's not quite a correct way to say it, Mateo. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, you're pronouncing it correctly.
Mateo, the way we want you to think of this is it would be as if we are the big construction company coming in to manage the construction of your home, but you are playing the role of the superintendent on the job. So, for example, as we are approaching the time for the flooring contractor to come in and place your floors, we would be consulting with you and obviously help you find the right flooring contractor and help you find the right supplies. Then it would be our job to make sure that the timing of that particular trade contractor coming in is correct. So we might meet with you 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time and confirm that you've chosen the flooring contractor, that you've chosen the supplies are on order, and that you've placed a call or sent a text or sent an email to the flooring contractor to confirm that they're going to be able to start on, say, September 1st. So that's our responsibility, to make sure you're staying on track and to make sure that nothing sneaks up on you. But your responsibility is pretty much making those day-to-day phone calls to make sure that people are going to show up, and to make sure that the materials are going to arrive as scheduled. So you're very much acting as your own job superintendent.
I get it. And we don't have any prior building experience, so we don't necessarily have a way of knowing if a job was done right. And that's one of our concerns, is like, how can we know, if something doesn't go as, it doesn't look right, for example, right?
Well, we'll be inspecting that.
Okay, you will be inspecting it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to the relationship with the different contractors that we'll choose to use, are we going to contract directly with them, meaning that we are going to be paying directly as well?
Right. We'll supply you with a contract for the individual subcontractor, and we'll help you write it, but we'll take care of the technical parts in the contract,
Okay. Okay, but we'll do the payments, we'll sign the contract. So it's a one-to-one agreement. So you wouldn't be in the contract. It would be just us and the contractor in the contract. And are there any particular liability considerations if we go, on with the owner builder program? Anything that we should be aware of when it comes to, a specific type of insurance policy that we must have, so we are covered for anything that may happen on the site?
Right. We require that all of our subcontractors furnish you with proof of general liability insurance and also workman's compensation.
Okay. And are these pretty standard?
And if there's any license numbers, such as with the heating, ventilating, air conditioning contractor, or the electrical contractor, or the plumbing contractor, those license numbers will be stated in your contract with them.
Okay.
Now, in addition to that, Matteo, what we're going to recommend to you, which I'm positive that if you speak to an attorney or if you speak to an insurance agent, they'll recommend the same thing. You will want to carry a policy on your project. Some agents call it course of construction insurance. Some agents call it builder's risk insurance. Mm. That type of policy is very much like a homeowner's policy. And essentially that policy is intended for, let's just say that a kid in the neighborhood is playing on your lot and steps on a nail. That type of liability is covered by that kind of policy. Also, that kind of policy covers things like vandalism or pilferage. So let's say that the appliances are delivered to your house on Friday afternoon, and they're supposed to be installed on Monday morning, and the installation crew shows up on Monday morning and the appliances have been stolen. Well, a builder's risk or course of construction policy covers those types of things. So you should carry that kind of policy, and we reflect that as a line item in the budget that we prepare for you. We know about how much those policies are going to cost based on the overall cost of your construction. So okay, it's actually going to be a line item in your budget.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Bob, what are those estimated cost of that builder's risk policy for a home in Sagamore estimated, just to give some ballpark? Do you have that?
Yeah, let's just say you've got and I'm just going to pick a number, folks. So please understand that I'm just throwing out a big ballpark here. Let's say you've got a $750,000 construction project. I'm guessing that your insurance policy for that $750,000 project is going to be in the neighborhood of 3,500 to 3,800, which I think that's, coincidentally, that's similar to the cost of probably a homeowner's policy for a similar value project or a similar valued home.
Okay.
Yeah. What information do you need for, what documentation do you need for the preliminary cost forecast in addition to the preliminary plan?
Basically a set of plans. We need a set of plans, and we like to sit down with you. We will go ahead and start the process with a preliminary set of plans, but then we'd like to sit down and interview you for possibly about 2 hours and find your, individual taste and like that, what you want to do as far as finishes go and appliances and like that. And then we can complete it. But we can get most of the work done ahead of time before that meeting.
Okay. And is the geotech report required to start that conversation, or?
Well, we can do it without that. However, if for instance, there's quite a difference in a foundation and the cost of a foundation between a foundation with spread footers as opposed to one that is set on piers. So that would be the only, unless you know what the soils condition is in that area, but it's always best to have you need a soils report for each individual lot.
Okay. Yeah, we're waiting for that.
Mateo, do you know when they were, if I understand Lisa correctly, the vast majority of the demolition work has already been done in that neighborhood. And if I'm does anybody know when they were tearing out those old foundations, were those foundations that were built on a big fat concrete foot at the base, or were they built on concrete piers that were drilled into the ground?
Big fat base.
I think it was a big fat base, but
or mostly split between them. Some had crawl spaces, and then they were on piers, and the half of the house was on big basements. So it depends on the lot.
I see. Okay. Yeah, you're. As we get closer and closer to the foothills, that's kind of how Colorado geology works. The closer we are to the foothills, or the closer we are to the mountains, we find that the soil conditions can vary dramatically just in the distance of 150 to 200 feet. And it's because of the way the soil was tilted up by geological actions 60 million years ago.
Oh yeah, Peter just says that he had spread footings in his house. And
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
There's one home here on the call, Amita, and they have theirs geotech report prepared. So I've sent that to Gary for his review as well.
I had a couple of other questions. If hypothetically, 3 home owners decided to go with you guys, would you assign just one project manager to all 3? So everyone will come out, would you just come out one time each week to look at all the houses? Or, how do you envision that?
Gary, that's...
Since I'm going to be the guy. It's what you need. You know what I mean? Yeah, if we could do it all at once, wow, what a bonus. I never experienced that before, but that would be great. But we're prepared really to come out as needed, really.
Okay. Great. And what is your communication like with the home builder? Would it be, do you set boundaries on just a work day, or are you available, on the weekends? We
like to work Monday through Friday, but if you've got an emergency that can't wait, if it's an emergency, yes, I want to hear from you. Okay. And you can email me or text me or whatever, but I would prefer a phone call. So you have options.
Great. And then one last question here, if I can get it without my son yelling. If my mom, who has built their house, and my mom and dad both built their house in Bennett, if they were to step in to be like for 1 week, is that pretty interchangeable if they need to be on site, or does that cause some, like too many cooks in the kitchen type situations?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Basically, can the general contractor be numerous people?
The owner builder. So if
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're going to appoint somebody, we can deal with them, but
And if there's like 2 of us,
as long as you're in the loop, right?
perfect. All right. Thank you.
And as long as you agree on what you want.
That's true.
Yeah. If you leave for a week and she says that you want hardwood floors and you come back and you want tile floors, then that's a problem.
I hear you. Thanks.
Are there any requirements for us as owners to become a general contractor of our own project? Like anything that we love to do?
No, Mateo, we've worked in almost every municipality and almost every county along the Front Range, and we have not encountered any county or any city that will not allow a homeowner to manage his or her own construction project. The only limitation would be there are some communities that are going to ask you to sign an affidavit promising that you intend to live in that house for at least 2 years after it's complete.
You've mentioned to me the toolkit, and so maybe just sharing what's in that toolkit, and some people are going to be unfamiliar with building schedules, and is it pretty easy to use? And obviously you're there for support, but do you find that the owner builder people that get involved are pretty adept to kind of manipulating the schedule and running that?
I was just going to say, I'll build the schedule, we'll build the schedule. Okay. And then turn it over to you. And then any changes you make along the way, like, let's say something was delayed for a couple of days or something like that. If you change that date, everything else is time dependent. It'll automatically revise the entire schedule for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's also places in Bob, you want to talk about the access, the different parts of we use a program called Builder Trend.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. That's a good question. A year and a half ago, we adopted a digital production management program, and that program is called Builder Trend, and it's probably the second most used construction management system in the United States. And it's a system that is designed for managing residential construction. And what that system allows us to do, as Gary has said, is that we can create a project schedule for you. There is part of that system allows us to manage and help you manage all of the documentation that's associated with your project. So all of the bids, all of the contracts, all of the permit paperwork, all of the inspection paperwork, et cetera. So it's an excellent document management system. It also allows us and you to do daily project logs. So for example, if Gary comes out to visit your project and we notice that, or Gary notices that the structural engineer happens to be there on that day inspecting the steel before the foundation concrete gets poured, Gary might take a photograph of that, or you might take a photograph of that, and you might upload that photograph into the Toolbox/Builder Trend system. It also allows you live updates of your project budget. So for example, if we forecast in our budget that you're going to spend $4,000 on your building permit, and on the day you pick up your building permit, it's actually $3,900, then you can key in that value and it'll automatically update your budget. It'll show whatever surplus or shortage you've got. And it'll do that, on an ongoing or a running basis. So you'll have that tool to help you manage your spending. It's also a good way for us to communicate with one another. For example, let's say you're on the job site and the plumber is doing something that looks peculiar to you. It's very easy for you to take a photograph of that with your telephone, with your with your iPhone or Samsung or whatever. Upload that to the Builder Trend system and then contact Gary and say, hey, please look at this photograph that I just uploaded because I'm not sure that this is exactly the way we want the plumber to install this shower basin. And that gives you and Gary something common to look at and to discuss. And, rather than trying to describe it in 1,000 words or so, we've got a photograph that we can work with. So that toolbox is, it's turning out to be a very powerful tool to help us and help our clients manage their home construction projects. It does a great job of turning a novice client into a professional home builder. Terrific tool.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to be mindful of time. It's just after the hour. I think following up, feel free to reach out to me and I can put you in touch directly with HomeWrights. If you wanted to see a contractor, we can follow up with any questions with them. And really appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much, Gary and Bob.
Okay.
Lisa, thank you so much for doing this. And Lisa, thank you for being one of those people out there on the forefront of helping people in America build better homes. We've been building with sticks for so long, and the rest of the world just doesn't understand why we do that. And I know that you do. And so thanks for being out there on the forefront.
Yeah. Well, and these folks on the call too get it as well. So super thankful for their belief in it as well.